So this is the Apple Store in London's Regent Street in the United Kingdom. This is the main shopping area in central London, and you can see here that people were queuing up to get into the store, and just when you get to the front of the queue, customers are presented with the following notice which they have to read through. So I'll just read through this so that you have an idea of what you're up against if you haven't been to an Apple store yet and been confronted with this. It says, "Thank you for visiting Apple today. For everyone's safety, we are limiting the number of people inside the store to allow for safe distancing measures of 2 meters. We will check your temperature prior to entry and ask that you wear a face covering. If you need one, just ask. Hand sanitizers are also available inside the store for your use. Before entering, please ask yourself the following health-related questions. Do you currently have a fever? Do you currently have a cough? Do you currently experience any respiratory issues? Have you been in contact with any suspected or confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the last 14 days? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you will not be able to enter the store. If you answered no to all questions, please proceed to have your temperature checked. No data from this procedure will be recorded." Apple is here to support you in many ways. Order online at apple.com/UK or through the Apple Store app. You can pick up your order in the store or get free delivery. Apple service and support team are available by phone at 0800 107 6285, via chat at support.apple.com/en-gb and through the Apple support app. We appreciate your patience and understanding. So, basically, what this means is that there is currently no exemptions. If you are medically exempt from wearing a face covering for whatever reason, whether it be for a medical condition, a disability, a physical disability, or an otherwise unseen disability, you will not be able to enter the store, basically, unless you wear a face covering. So, the question also begs that what happens to Apple employees who would normally be medically exempt from wearing a face covering? Are they no longer allowed to work, or what? How is that dealt with inside? So the person I spoke to when I reached the front of the queue and was the gatekeeper as such at the time, said that they had never come across this issue before. They went away for some minutes and conferred with a colleague, presumably maybe a store manager or something like that, and came back and said that they couldn't let me in without a face covering, even though I was able to present evidence of being usually exempt from face covering wearing, because I carry a card around with me which is valid on public transport in and around London, but this was not acceptable to them because this is their corporate policy. So this was corporate policy which was implemented well ahead of the UK government's own policy on having compulsory face covering wearing in all public spaces and enclosed spaces, rather. So this is a very interesting state of affairs, really. I haven't had chance to check up with them to see whether they have changed any of their corporate policies. But if this is still withstanding, then it is obviously very much kind of like unfair discrimination against those who are medically exempt from wearing a face covering. There are obviously other means and ways of getting service from them. You can shop online, as they said, or you can have your case dealt with over the phone if it's a repair, or via email. But of course, it's very much an inconvenience because it's a much slower process than having to deal with a face-to-face conversation. For instance, the reason I went along to the store was because I had a couple of aesthetic kind of like issues or faults with a MacBook Pro that I bought previously. It's out of warranty, but it would have been much easier for me to actually show the actual kind of like aesthetic kind of like faults to a person face to face, rather than trying to describe it over the phone, or indeed submit and exchange kind of like emails over a space of a couple of hours, or maybe even a couple of days, with photographs, etc. So is this an oversight, or is this kind of like intentional? Answers on a postcard. This is Henry Tang signing off. Cheers for now.